This portion of Lee Pitts Live is brought to you by Hodges University, educating the leaders of our community for over 20 years.
You will love his wit and smile when he shares his charm with you. He's got a style that can't be denied on Lee Pitts Live. Come on and listen. You will enjoy and learn if you're wise. There's talking and singing. Everything is there to keep you swinging. We're glad you turned in to Lee Pitts Live.
History in the making. Get your DVRs going and all of this. We have a historic figure here. It's not unusual for us to have a historic figure here, but this is extremely unique in the sense of she's the first African-American female to graduate from the Harvard Business School. And if you, like myself, I have an MBA, so I understand the rigors of a business school, but Harvard, the oldest university in the United States, and what was going on back then, this is made for the movie theater. So we're delighted to have Lillian Lambert here in the studio. Doctor. Put that down. No, you're not actually a doctor, but you seem like a doctor when you're reading your book. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
But they don't really have, well, you could get a doctor's in business, could you?
Right.
You end up being a professor, and then you wouldn't end up being, you know, in all that stuff you did, entrepreneur in the janitorial business and so on. Okay. Now, let's go straight to the book, first of all. Rick, bump that book up on the screen. When you first sat down to write this fabulous book, how much introspect did you have to do? I read in the book where you really gave it a lot of thought and you kept putting it off.
Right.
But what really made you just say, let's go do it?
Well, a couple of things made me say that. First, I got someone who was willing to work with me on writing the book, and all the things you have to go through to get a publisher, those things were falling into place. And I'd had a number of people tell me that my experience could be used to inspire so many other people. And after hearing that over and over, I said, well, maybe I have something to say. Because for me, going through that experience didn't seem at all unique. It was just something I had to do. So those things helped me decide that maybe a book should be published.
Right. Now, when you always have to find a hook, let's say, like, in your case, the first African-American to graduate from the Harvard Business School. But to me, in reading about you, that's so minor. And all the other things that you accomplished and where you came from, you being a graduate, from the first African-American female to graduate from the Harvard Business School, to me, is minor. What do you say to that in the grand scheme of all the other things that we're going to get into?
Well, I think I pretty much felt the way you did. When people start talking about that, I'm thinking, why is that so important? But then people began to latch onto that and tying it into my background of someone who you wouldn't expect to go to Harvard, and I didn't plan to do it as stated in the book. Then I began to tie all that together, and the whole picture became my growing up in this little town, going to Harvard, going to do other things. It all presented an experience that other people could relate to. And there are people, a number of people who have similar experiences, but I put mine on paper, and then it became more of a reality.
I think that your mom and your dad, you were fortunate to be born with those types of parents. Everybody doesn't get that opportunity to be born to those types of parents who motivate you and support what you're trying to do. Why don't you speak to the importance of having good parents and tie that into your parents?
Well, I think that's crucial, because your parents are people that you deal with on a daily basis, and if they are encouraging you and telling you the things you can do, if you didn't believe it, you begin to believe it and say, well, I can do these. And my mom particularly basically told me I can do anything I want to do if I want to do it bad enough. And I just began to believe that. My dad was not an educated man and didn't talk about education a lot, but I think as he began to see me become more educated, he began to place some real value on that. And as I mentioned in the book, he got a great thrill out of telling people I went to the same school that John F. Kennedy did.
Right.
So that was important to him. So education began to take on a new light in my
But that's
household.
really interesting that you got a black man during that period of time who had very little education himself, and I'm trying to recall, I think it was third grade education.
Yes.
Your mom had a college degree, and he has a daughter who's going to the same school that the President of the United States is going to or went to. That was something for him to stick his chest out.
Oh yeah, he was real proud of that. He was real proud of that. And I remember he came to my graduation at Howard, which was a unique and a very valuable experience for him to be there.
Now, when you left the small town, it was in Virginia, what's that town called?
Ballsville.
Ballsville, about 175, 270.
About 200 people.
Yeah, 200 people. You left there, then you went to find your life, or the spotlight, or the great life in New York.
I was going to find my fortune in New York.
That's right, your fortune in New York. Arriving in New York, what stood out to you most about arriving in New York and then going out and try to become a part of what the world had to offer you?
I guess what stood out to me was, wow, all these tall buildings, such a big, dirty city. I come from a small town, and I had never been to New York City. My furthest, I guess the biggest city I'd gone to was Washington, D.C. So I was just amazed by this city. But then as I stayed there, I didn't like all of this cramped space. I grew up on a farm. I had lots of open space to deal with. So I didn't really like New York, and it was very difficult to get established in the city.
We're going to have you write, and we're going to have you get a shot of this so I can, if I have to sell this on eBay, they can know I actually got her autograph. Let's just find a page for you to just kind of give me your autograph for that great book. I couldn't put it down. One of the things I noticed in reading your book, that it was suspenseful, it was humorous, and it was in-depth. What's your thoughts about when you read your book, or when you hear people talk about your book? What's your thoughts about what you tried to get across?
Well, I wanted to share experiences that I thought would be valuable to people. And I told a lot of things that people sometimes ask me, how did you share so much? Well, it was my life, so I wasn't really, while some things I may not be as proud as of others, I'm not ashamed of what I went through in my life, so I had no problem sharing those with others. And hopefully people would learn from my experiences.
Now, you go to a historical black college in Howard University, which is prestigious in itself. When you were at Howard University, you interfaced with a gentleman that changed your life, one of your professors who had graduated from Harvard University.
Right.
From Harvard. Tell us about him.
Professor H. Naylor Fitzhugh, who became my mentor. When I went to Howard, I had no idea. Even though I'd been out of school 4 years, I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, except I was leaning towards business. And I met Professor Fitzhugh in my freshman year and took a course from him, which changed the direction of my life. And he taught the course the same way they do at the business school, and began to relate to him. And I think I mentioned, he saw things in me I guess I didn't see in myself. I think all of us have people in our lives like that. So we just need to pay attention to them and begin to value their wisdom and use it to benefit ourselves. So Professor Fitzhugh was one of those people. Stayed with me all through undergraduate and encouraged me to go to Harvard.
He's a dynamic person, and I noticed throughout the book that you didn't hesitate to give people credit, and you were so humble in the sense of all these things that you were able to accomplish, but you still never forgot who helped you along the way. Now, you were dealing with two things along the way. Here you are, a successful businesswoman, and you're African American, and you're female. That stood out in the book, that you were dealing with both dichotomies. At the end of the day, what do you think was the biggest burden in that particular time, being a female or being an African American?
Well, it varied. Sometimes one overpowered the other, and there were times when I couldn't tell which was in play, and sometimes they were both in play. But I would think being an African American woman in lots of cases overpowered the female.
Okay.
In business, because I went into business in a male-dominated industry, and that sometimes had its drawbacks and its handicaps, and sometimes it played in my favor. And there are other times being a female or African-American played in my favor. So they both had pros and cons.
And you were able to build a company, a $20 million operation. You sold it down the road, and now you're retired in a sense. But tell us about how the early days of building your company.
It was a very unique experience. When I went into business, there were very few women business owners at that time, and even fewer in my industry. So I ran into some difficulties getting started with getting into the government 8A program was one experience where I was turned down initially, a program that was supposed to design to assist minority businesses. So I'm thinking, you know, I meet this criteria on both fronts.
Right.
I'm an African American and I'm a woman. So getting turned down was not something I even thought could possibly happen. So that was a challenge. And then there was the challenge of getting the financing to get my company going, getting the employees in place. So I had lots of challenges getting started. And it was during a time when there was, it was during a time when they were talking about women-owned businesses on Capitol Hill, but not a lot was being done about it, just a lot of talk. So it was a unique time to be going into business. And sometimes businesses thrive in those situations where it seems that unlikely that you would start a business and you're able to do so.
And there was a gentleman along the way who had gotten his papers incorporated. He had filled out all his incorporation papers, and he decided not to do what he was going to do. He told you, hey, go ahead and fill out these papers. You fill out these papers, next thing you know, you become a successful business entrepreneur. What do you have to say to those people out there now who are interested in starting their own business, and especially with the economy like it is now? I'm thinking the entrepreneur world right now is a great place for not just African Americans, for anybody to really take control of their lives.
I agree with you. I think unique situations like this give opportunities. Sometimes you find opportunities when you're looking at obstacles facing you, and I think for every obstacle there's an opportunity, and many opportunities have obstacles, so you can use that as a stepping stone to get where you want to go. I would say that people who are interested in starting a business, first, be sure it's something that you enjoy doing, and a service or product that the market needs and wants, and do your research. But don't be afraid to step out there. Dream big, but you got to have some bold action to go with that, and not allow the naysayers to tell you what you can or can't do. But you have to be confident in yourself that you can accomplish that.
And we have your website and your phone number coming up on the screen from time to time. People who are watching that, of course, they can go to their website to get the great book. But if they're interested in having you come out and speak, be a part of a consulting, anything to help out here in the state of Florida, are you available if they reach out to you and have the right amount of money?
Yes, I particularly enjoy doing that, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm doing speaking engagement with various types of groups, women groups, youth groups, any type of organization that can benefit from the experience of someone who's overcome obstacles in their lives. And you can reach me on my website and through my email. That's I guess that's posted. My email address, Lambert_Lillian@yahoo.com. I can be reached there. You can visit my website, LillianLincolnLambert.com. It has information about me, about speaking engagements, and about my coaching business.
Now, we're going to get you back here again in our autobiography series where we can have a whole show with you. But certainly, we're happy that you came out today. Now, if you had, looking back at your life, if you had to do some things differently, what would you do differently?
Two things I do differently that I can think of right offhand. One is, as a result of my education at Howard and Harvard, I would utilize my networks a bit more than I did. I was very reluctant to do that, so I encourage young people now, wherever you go to school, wherever you're in business, capitalize on the people that you meet along the way that you can help and that can help you. And the other thing I would do, I would explore a wider range of opportunities business-wise, at least look at them. I remember when I was in business, one of the contracts I had, a young lady told me that I should look into the cable business.
Right.
And I didn't.
And now look what
now look what's happening in the cable. So there are opportunities there.
I could go all day with you, but Rick, put that book back up on the screen again if you don't mind. Encourage people. This is a bestseller to me, and this should be a movie. But when you think about how successful you've been, Howard University, Harvard University, you could have blended into society, not remembered your race, made your money, but you, throughout your book and throughout your life now and working with youth, you never forgot your race. Why was that so important to you?
Because I think that is very important. We forget our history and not use it to help benefit someone else. We have a responsibility, I think, to give back. I had a lot of people who helped me along the way, and I think I owe society and those people something because I have been successful, and I think that I didn't do this all by myself. I did it because I had a lot of encouragement and what I call these people my guardian angels.
Excellent. The book is The Road to Someplace Better by Lillian Lambert. Go out and get it. We're going to go to a break. We'll come back. We'll get a chance to talk to a great youth advocate, Kareem Edwards, right here on Leap Is Live. So as the saying goes, for those who say it can't be done, they are usually interrupted by those like Lillian Lambert and all the fine people who are associated with this great book who are doing it. We'll be right back.